Hello and welcome back to the Modular DM. After a year's hiatus, I'm back to improve the lives of the busy, lazy, and new DMs out there by creating content you can drop directly into your campaigns with little to no effort. As our welcome back video, I'm recreating the home-based village from one of the most enjoyable campaigns that I have run so far. This is the Hamlet of Arlin, a countryside village nestled in the hills between forests to the south and mountains to the north. A forgotten number of years ago, a powerful wizard known only as Briar built his tower here in the valley, creating a magical barrier that prevents evil, be that monsters, magic, or something else, from coming near. Soon after, travelers began to settle in the area around the tower, and thus the Hamlet of Arlin came to be. The village sports about 14 different buildings with a variety of inhabitants and purposes. On the northmost edge of the village, Briar's Tower stands tall above the trees and buildings of Arlin, its dark stone contrasting against the bright foliage of the countryside. It is several stories high and home to two of the town's prominent figures. First is Voricus, the town's wizard. He is exceptionally old and has spent the majority of his life living in Briar's Tower and studying the zone of safety that surrounds it. He filled the tower with volumes upon volumes, creating an immense library. Further, he is incredibly friendly. Anytime that Voricus is not in the study, windows thrown open, letting fresh air and sunlight grace the pages of the tomes that he's studying, is spent out among the other townspeople, enjoying conversation or helping with chores. Briar's Tower is also home to another strange figure, the nameless Historiographer. The Historiographer, a mysterious and somewhat pretentious old man, lives in the ground level of the tower. He is a chronicler of history and adventures, and despite their similarities, he looks down on bards. To quote him, "Bards trivialize the pursuit of chronological epoch-keeping." Mechanically, I use the Historiographer as an incentive to encourage my players to engage in the story and write quick session summaries for the players that didn't make it each week. Each time a player wrote a summary and posted it in our Discord, they were awarded a strange token. Sometimes we roleplayed this, and sometimes we just added the token to their inventory. I let them return to the Historiographer at the beginning of the next session, given that we were still in Arlin, and redeem their tokens for various rewards. For example, a vial of History's Blessing, which they could drink during a bonus action to go first in the next round of combat, or a vial of Compelling Past, which when ingested, forced a creature to make a wisdom save or answer questions about its past truthfully for the next several minutes. To the south of Briar's Tower is the bakery. The baker, Kennyworth Flynn, is a half-gnome who specializes in a gnomish delicacy known as stone bread, which is cooked in a special stone oven and which contains magically enhanced stone dust in the dough. Further down the road, your adventurers will find the Thatcher, whose name is Brennan Price. Brennan is a burly man who is well-liked among the townsfolk, partly because he is exceptionally charismatic, and partly because he ensures that they all stay dry during the torrential rainy seasons. Across the road from Brennan's is the only other stone structure in Arlin, the Church of Jandar. Jandar is a god of fertility and peace and has long been the patron of Arlin itself, representing the enchanted protection of Briar's Tower as well as the fertile land of the valley. Eastmost in town, one can find the seamstress, Parcheza Olander. A half-elf, many consider her clothes and her mending to both be magically reinforced. She neither confirms nor denies these rumors. She is also the closest thing to a socialite that can be found in a hamlet as small as Arlin. Her days are spent out and about the town, and her nights are spent at Glog's Grog or the Common House collecting gossip. When she works alone, and she works furiously, sometimes for days at a time if she's pursuing a significant project. South of the seamstress is the Fletcher Farm. The Fletcher Farm, owned by Virgil and Betha Fletcher, provides most of the food for Arlin. They are friendly, if a little bit simple, and will go to great lengths to help their neighbors and improve their community. The Fletchers are another family that has lived in Arlin for generations. To the northeast of the farm is a small home inhabited by the half-elf sorcerer named Corivor. Corivor arrived in Arlin only a couple of years before your adventurers did, after coming down from the mountains. It's unknown to the rest of the townspeople, but Corivor was raised in a small village high in the mountains. A small red dragon had made its home above the village, and one day the dragon was offended and destroyed most of the village, forcing Corivor to run down the mountain and into the woods. When he returned, he discovered he was the last surviving member of his community. Rather than being angry, Corivor became curious about the dragon's power. He began to spy on the dragon, attempting to learn how he too could become this powerful. After years and several tense interactions with the dragon, Corivor began to learn to channel magic similar to the dragon's, although never reliably. And one day, while Corivor was down in the woods, an adventuring party ambushed the dragon's lair and killed the dragon. Later that day, Corivor returned and found that which he valued most destroyed yet again. He flew into a fit of rage and killed the entire adventuring party. After this, Corivor fled the village and made his way to Arlin, hoping to pursue a secluded life where never again would he feel such terrible loss. Corivor was actually one of my friend's characters when I ran this campaign, but I really feel like he makes a fantastic NPC to drop into this village, so I absolutely think that you should include him here. Across the road from Corivor's house is Arapet's shop. Arapet is one of my favorite NPCs and a hilarious shopkeep. If you'd like to know more about this little goblin and why I love him so much, check out our earlier video on Arapet's shop, or take a look at the homebrew PDF that I'll link in the description. Next, you can find Blondelin's Inn. It's a basic inn that mostly serves as a safe and jovial stopping point for travelers on their way to the mountains from the south. Another favorite spot in Arlin is Glog's Grog, which stands just up the road from the inn. It's the local tavern and is owned and operated by an orc named, you guessed it, Glog. Glog is standoffish at first, but friendly once you've established a rapport. He'll support the adventurers and give whatever information he can about the town, the surrounding area, or any rumors he hears from the couriers that bring him his shipments. When I used Arlin in my campaign, I even had Glog allow the adventurers to use the basement of his tavern as a small meeting and planning place and an area to store the spoils of their adventures, after they had built a relationship with him, of course. Following this, there are 3 more shop locations in Arlin. The apiary, run by the druid Esther Leafkin, the blacksmith, whose name is Kit Stoneheart, a gray-haired dwarf who left the mountains ages ago, and the butcher, Brant Gahul, who mostly deals in the processing of the town's hunts from the nearby areas. On the westmost flank of Arlin is the village home. The village home serves as a sort of shared living area for the remainder of the town's inhabitants, most of whom earn their keep by lending aid to the surrounding businesses and the community itself however they can. This is also where Arlin's town hall meetings are held. Because of the strength of their community, the Hamlet of Arlin always makes its decisions collectively. Finally, Lilypad Lake can be found along the southernmost part of town. A picturesque lake filled with fish and glimmering blue water and surrounded by large, ancient trees, the northmost reach of the forests to the south. So, this has been the Hamlet of Arlin. I'd like to thank everyone who welcomes me back by watching this video, thank everyone who encouraged me to get this channel going again, and thank Matt Colville for inspiring me to be a better DM, share the hobby, and help the community. This channel would not exist without his channel first. If you have any thoughts or suggestions, please leave them in the comments, and definitely let me know if you drop this into your campaign. I always love to hear how people are going to use my content. As usual, check the description for links to everything, the Reddit, Dungeonographer, tabletop audio, etc. And we'll catch you next time.